Hi folks.
Hi folks.
Mike and Tam here, and just when you thought the nightmare had ended, yes, we're back in the kitchen again for another go-round at a cooking video. This time we're answering a cooking challenge that was issued to us by the channel Schick Happens. CJ has a great channel. His link will be right down below. It's a funny channel. It's an endearing channel. There's some outdoorsy, some how-to, a little bit of everything, but mostly a great sense of humor there.
Yeah.
Go and check out Schick Happens. But the challenge that he issued to us is fairly simple. The rules are only three. One is it has to be a fall-related meal, or have something to do for us related to fall. Two is one of the ingredients has to be a can of beer. And three is it has to be delivered before Thanksgiving. So after giving it a lot of thought, Tammy and I settled on what is for us a southern comfort food, one that we associate with cold weather and this time of year, the smell of which cooking brings up thoughts of fall as much as the smell of an apple pie baking or of firewood burning in a neighbor's fireplace. What we've decided to try and do is pinto beans and cornbread. We found some recipes that actually called for beer as part of the ingredient. Again, the disclaimer, if you saw our video in the kitchen where we basically wrestled with about 8 ounces of dough for what, about an hour and a half? You see how we are in the kitchen. We're going to give it a try. If it doesn't turn out right,
It's his fault.
it's all my fault. So folks, we're going to start off by baking the cornbread because it takes a little bit longer to prepare. At least it takes a little longer in the oven. If we time this right, we should be able to get through with everything pretty close to the same time. First, Tammy is going to combine all the dry ingredients for the cornbread in one bowl, and she already has in her big bowl here a 1.5 cups of cornmeal and a 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. And to that, she is going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. And to that, 1.5 tablespoons of baking powder. 3/4 teaspoon of salt. And 1/2 cup of sharp cheddar cheese, shredded. Now Tammy's going to combine these ingredients and get them good and mixed up. For the first wet ingredient, we have 3 large eggs. Into that, Tammy will now add 1/2 cup of milk. And to that, and this sounds really good, 1/3 cup of sour cream. Doesn't that sound good added to your cornbread?
It's gonna be real moist.
And 1/2 cup of melted butter. Okay, now it's time to add that special ingredient, the one insisted upon by the rules of this challenge, and that is the beer. We'll begin by adding 1 cup of this beer. And now we're going to combine this. Now it's time to combine the wet and the dry ingredients. Now to the mixed ingredients, we add the last piece, the one that's the most delicious. To this we add 6 slices of bacon, thick cut and fried in a skillet.
This is gonna be good.
And now it's time to add the combined ingredients to a greased 13 by 9 bowl. Do you call this a bowl? What do you call that, Tammy?
Casserole dish is what I call it.
A dish.
Usually I cook cornbread in a cast iron skillet, but this called for a 9 by 13 pan,
Right.
so that's what we're doing.
And what did you grease this this plate with, pray tell?
Lard, baby.
Yes. If some of you out there are wondering why your recipes don't taste like Grandma used to make, it's because you're spraying that stuff onto your cookware and you're not using that good old lard. So Tam has got the batter spread evenly, and now to top our batter is 1 cup of sharp cheddar cheese shredded. That looks pretty already. And now to a preheated 375 degree oven, we put our cornbread batter. And now we wait for 30 to 35 minutes. All right, folks, now that Tammy's cornbread's in the oven, I'm going to take over and walk us through, fingers crossed, the pinto beans. All right, folks, we prepped our pinto beans ahead of time. We chose to get dry pinto beans instead of the canned beans. You could use canned beans, but the canned beans already have some kind of seasoning, salt, something like that in them. We wanted the flavors that were supposed to go in the beans to be in the beans, so we soaked dry beans overnight. We lightly salted them while they were soaking, and then this morning we put them over low heat in this pot, and they have been simmering for about how long, Tammy?
The juice is almost gone for a while.
So they've been simmering, and we added, like I said, a little more salt. So we have here sauteing 3 slices of thick bacon chopped up, to which we're going to add what, hon?
Add 1 chopped onion, 2 chopped cloves of garlic.
Have some garlic. Tam chopped these up herself. Add those in there. The aroma already is kind of starting to drift out.
And now a 1/2 teaspoon of ground cumin.
A 1/2 teaspoon of ground cumin. This is all. Do you smell this already?
It smells so good. Love garlic.
1/2 teaspoon of ground cumin?
Yes.
Tam tells me we now add a 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt and a 1/2 teaspoon of ground pepper. And we're just going to let this part of the mix saute for how long, honey?
8 minutes.
For about 8 minutes. So we'll be right back. All right, folks, it's been about 8 minutes, and as you can see, our onions are, as Tammy says, a nice translucent. So now it's time to add the required ingredient, and that is
a 1/2 cup of beer.
a 1/2 cup of beer. Now, if you recall, we used a cup of beer to make the cornbread. That's 8 ounces. 1/2 cup is 4 ounces. That's 12 ounces. At this point, we've used a can of beer. Okay, we've let the beer simmer for a little while. There is an interesting aroma coming off of this now. The garlic has been tempered a little bit by the beer. It's an interesting aroma.
It smells delicious.
It smells really good. The whole house smells really good. Now it's time for the most important ingredient, other than the beer, pinto beans. We're going to add about 4 cups of pinto beans. And now add 2 more cups. And now there's nothing to do but for a couple of minutes, but stir this mixture together. We add, what is it, Tammy, a cup of water?
Yes.
A cup of water. We're going to let it simmer for 5 minutes on medium heat. We'll now add the juice of 1 fresh squeezed lime. And then we will add 1/4 cup of freshly chopped cilantro. That adds a pretty little touch to it, doesn't it? The
Gives
cilantro
it some color.
gives it some color. Now we're going to turn this down to low and just let it stay simmering. And here you see our cornbread, our beer batter cornbread, out of the oven. And man, that looks pretty, doesn't it, Tammy?
It's really good.
Well, folks, our pinto beans with beer and our beer batter cornbread is finished. We're about to try here. Tammy actually included some mac and cheese. We didn't record the making of that. It came out of a box. I'm not entirely sure it's actually cheese. So I'm gonna try separately first before I combine.
Let's try the beans first.
You want to try the beans first?
Yeah.
It's a full-bodied
Flavor. What's some flavor?
This is packed with flavor. Now I'm going to try some of this spongy, nice cornbread. It's got a cake-like texture almost.
It don't taste like regular cornbread.
No, it doesn't. It tastes, you know what it tastes like? This is what the first thing that occurs to me. When you go to the bakery or the bakery part of your supermarket and they have those artisanal breads, those fancy breads, that's kind of what it has a flavor to me. It kind of has like an artisanal flavor. Folks, my verdict on this beer batter cornbread with bacon and cheese and this beer pinto bean broth, this is first rate. I would definitely try this recipe again for pinto beans.
I've never had such flavorful beans.
It is pinto beans. Pinto beans are not naturally a flavorful bean. The only flavor they have is that flavor which you add to them in the cooking process.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people salt the daylights out of their pinto beans. These are nice and flavorful with none of the flavors.
Not too salty.
None of the flavors overpowering each other. They're all in balance really well. So folks, thank you for joining us. We promise to try to stay out of the kitchen for a while. But until the next video, this is Mike and Tam saying
Bye.
bye.